Sleeves here with the Senior Pickleball Report, powered by TNC Network. This week, people in pickleball, we're talking to Vicky Noakes from Oklahoma. And she is heavily involved in U.S. Senior Pickleball, and she's also involved with USA Pickleball. She's been playing since 2009 and really has been an ambassador for the sport, spreading it to the state of Oklahoma, really, from via Rio Doso, New Mexico. So we talked to her about her game, about U.S. Senior Pickleball, and where she thinks the sport is going and where it's been. All right, enjoy. Well, welcome to the Senior Pickleball Report, Vicky.
Hi, thank you. It's good to be here.
It's good to have you here. I know we met earlier this year, and I've kind of just been exploring pickleball more and more as my own pickleball journey begins, and I'm trying to get into a tournament this fall because I live in New Mexico. So there's two tournaments that y'all are putting on, one in October and one in November. And so I'm going to try and play in one of those and finally get my butt out there. So
Which ones are you looking at?
I'm looking at the regional and the national. I think one's in El Mirage and one's in Sun City. Mm-hmm. So I went to, I guess what last year would have been called the, when you guys were SIPA, the World Championship.
Yes.
Yeah. And yes. I think that's the courts that your nationals are going to be on, correct?
Yes. And I'll be there too.
Right on. Oh, good. Yeah. So I went last year and I attended, and my wife's, I probably told you the story when we spoke earlier in the year. My wife's PE teacher was in the tournament. So I went to see her and meet her, and they were pretty close. So she was my wife's PE teacher and basketball coach and volleyball coach. So.
So you didn't play last year?
No, I had just really started really kind of playing about maybe 2 months prior to that. And I was visiting my folks in Phoenix, and I was like, oh, the World Championships of Senior Pickleball's here. I'm going to go watch. And I went I think I went 2 days, and I watched some singles, and I watched some doubles. And I watched my wife's PE teacher. I think her name is Sue Brogard, something like that. I always get her last name kind of mixed up. But yeah, it was great. Then I knew, I was like, oh, I got to start playing tournaments. So I played one tournament in January, just singles, and eventually I'm going to play some more and hopefully play some doubles. But so let's talk about your origin story a little bit. I know it, but for those who don't know it, kind of fill us in on how pickleball came into your life.
Well, I was a high school teacher, and I taught at high school in Oklahoma City. I was a home economics teacher. And I was also girls basketball and girls tennis coach for probably eight or 9 years. And then I quit the coaching because I got involved with tennis more, and I wanted to play tournaments myself. And so I quit the coaching and taught for 27 years. Then retired, and we had a place in Rio Doso, New Mexico that we always went to when I had vacation breaks.
Right.
And when I retired, we were able to stay. We stayed from the 1st of June to the 1st of October usually.
Okay.
And we had lived there for, 4 or 5 years. And I never had gotten back to tennis. I had quit tennis because when we bought the place in Rio Doso, I lost all my foursomes in the summer. And that's when most of the tournaments were. So I had kind of gotten out of the tennis world and thought I'd always get back to it when I retired, but hadn't. And I walked around the golf course each day, and they had this private tennis court that there were people with paddles and wiffle balls on. And I walked around it several times, and finally I got the nerve up to ask what it was, and they invited me up, and that was the start of my pickleball career, and that was in 2009. And so I've played about 13 years, and I came back to Oklahoma City and found 2 guys that wintered in Arizona that were trying to find people to play here. And we played at a tennis club for a couple of months until they said we couldn't play there anymore because the tennis players thought we were too loud. And so they kicked us out. And so Then we went to another church gym, and that got us started. And so at this time, I've just come back from the summer in Ruidosa. We have a big crowd there of especially a lot of visitors in the summertime.
Right.
And beautiful weather, 75, 80 degrees, not much wind this summer, which was beautiful, and beautiful afternoons. And coming back to Oklahoma, we had hot weather. Very but now we have over 2,000 in our club here in Oklahoma City.
Wow.
And we play, it's a greater Oklahoma City pickleball. And we have lots of facilities around the Oklahoma City area, but we have just gotten some indoor courts in Edmond, which are going to spark us. And I don't think we're going to have enough facilities to handle the number of people. That
right. Yeah. Obviously, you took it from one place. You were introduced to it, and then you took it back to, I guess, more of your permanent place.
Right.
And other people have done that as well. It seems like, Ruidoso, and there's a place down in Baja, Mexico, that's near Cabo, is kind of a little hub where people kind of go and they spend, and then they come and take it and spread it.
Right.
And then obviously, in the professional game, Austin is becoming like that, Dripping Springs, or where, so those are pretty cool stories. I mean, I came back from Tahoe and hit the ball around, and I was like, where am I ever going to play this game? I lived in the middle of nowhere in a yurt. And I just kind of put it out of my head, and my sister kept coming for vacation to my folks, and I would play with them. And then I found out there were like a half a dozen people at that point already painting courts on old dilapidated tents. I'm like, somebody plays pickleball here. So it's amazing the places it gets to, but it happens because of stories like yours, where you go to one place and you bring it back, and that's what's really great.
Yeah.
So.
And and the fun part is knowing people that you never would have met before, because they're from all over the country.
Yeah.
And especially from the Ruidosa area, because they come in the summer, to get out of the heat, and have a good vacation home, and then they go back to LA or Texas. We have lots of Texas people that come to Ruidosa in the summertime.
Right. Yeah, I mean, here too. We all live in a valley of probably 300 to 400 people. But the folks that I play with, they didn't really run in my circles, and I didn't run in their circles.
Right.
So we would have never really hung out, or maybe even met, because I've lived here about 10 years and I keep running into people that I've never met, and it's very small. But yeah, and then now that group is, we need probably, we have 2 courts. We probably need a third eventually. And, we're on the road of trying to get courts in through a grant and all that. But, that's a 2-3 year process. By then, who knows how many we'll have.
That's right. But if visitors know that you have pickleball there, you'll get more visitors. That's what they do in Ruidosa.
Right. And so to fulfill my need, I go to Silver City as well, because it's about 35 miles. And I play there a couple nights a week, and just another group of folks that I would probably have never met. So.
Right.
Yeah, right on. So talk about, obviously 2009, for most people that I talk to today, that's like, wow, you started way back. I mean, if somebody started before 2017, it's like, wow, you've been playing a long time.
Yeah, that's right.
So
it's
talk about
a lot.
Oh, I'm sure. So let's talk about that. What do you think has changed significantly for you?
Well, for our club, we had to go and beg places to play, because in Oklahoma, we have basketball and volleyball, and that's reigns supreme at nighttime. So we only got the morning hours or daytime hours.
Okay.
And they would just give us a few usually. So, it was all word of mouth most of the time, because nobody knew what it was. They laughed at it. If somebody walked in the gym, we'd get them down there, but it was really hard to get enough to play the first few years. And about 2012, I guess it was, let's see. I became a USA pickleball ambassador.
Right.
And so that gave me some credence to where I could go and talk to some facilities and say, look, we've got this group and that type of thing. And I started running tournaments then here in Oklahoma City, and really pushed trying to get some referee training.
Yeah.
And so that even if we didn't have a sanctioned tournament, we would know what it was like to have a tournament with referees. And they were small at first, but they were, we grew. We usually had the Oklahoma State games and the Oklahoma Senior games each year, which before COVID, it had grown up to about 500 in the tournament.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah.
so just finding a facility to be able to play in is the hardest thing, because we've got tennis clubs that we can go to. And right now we go and tape courts in Lifetime most of the time for our tournaments.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and then I've been involved with the USA Pickleball in several different ways, but I'm on the community grant committee that evaluates the grants that are turned into the USA Pickleball. And we meet once a week, and we have a committee, and we have community grants, and now we have what's called college and youth grants. It used to be high school grants.
Yeah.
But those grants are, when somebody applies for them, a community grant can get $250 to pay for a net and some balls and whatever else they need.
Right.
There's qualifications for it. And they have to be on places to play. They have to put their facility in places to play so that we know the different places. And then this new one is a YPP, where they have to be a school affiliated with a school or a college, and they can apply for $350. And that's all through USA Pickleball.
Right. Excellent. I mean, that's good to know. I talked to a guy last week who's running. He started this foundation after the First Tee Foundation, and he's calling it First Dink. Again, getting kids involved at a sport, which, by the way, is a lot cheaper than golf and getting started in golf. But in the same kind of style where, people might not have the opportunity to play or given that opportunity. So
it's a really good program with the USA Pickleball. Yeah. And we give a lot of them throughout the year away. Right. And I've been on the board of the Oklahoma Senior Games. Okay. And I've been president several different times in our local club, and I stay as an advisor a lot of the time. And I got involved with SIPA when they first, in 2017, when they first decided to try to get a senior pickleball tournament circuit. Right. And this last year, I told them I'd been on it for 5 years. I said, I got other things I need to do. I don't want to be on the board anymore. I'll be glad to help any way I want to, but don't want to do it. And of course, Ford has his persuasion talk that says, okay, how about if you're just the ambassador director, you don't have to spend very much time on it at all, and just help us get people around the U.S. to talk up USSP and to help us with the circuit tournaments, get people involved, grow the membership. I said, okay, I'll help. And that's been more work than the board.
Oh, I'm sure. So talk about that transformation. So first of all, tell the folks what those acronyms mean.
Super Senior International Pickleball Association was SIPA. Right. And it's the international umbrella of USSP is US Senior Pickleball, and that's the US part of it. Right. So we've got an international, which is SIPA, and we still have those tournaments. Right. We just had one in Canada, and I think we'll have one in Mexico. Okay. And then, but all the new ones are US Senior Pickleball, and we just wanted to kind of rebrand it so that we can tell everyone that it's for seniors, run by seniors. Right. Right, which is very important. Yeah. And it's done real well in the 9 months that we've got it going. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So let's talk about, because I'm part of the ambassador program for USSP, and to talk a little bit about that program and what your hopes are. Our main goal for that is to help promote our tournaments. So we don't run all our tournaments. We are hoping that in each part of the country that we find tournament directors that would like to run a US Senior Pickleball in the way that we like to run it with round robins, and through pickleballbrackets.com. Right. So Pickleball Brackets is a new software that we started with USS Pickleball. They've been involved in tournaments for a long time, but we've just partnered with them.
Right.
And they are very easy. They're user friendly for the tournament director and for the person that registers in the tournament, the players.
Yeah.
And what's unique is that they have done us senior ratings just for our tournaments.
Oh, great.
And so we don't have to compete with the younger people.
Yeah.
And they're not sanctioned by USA Pickleball.
Right.
We felt like they had kind of left us out of
Mhm.
the big tournaments, to where we're usually combined, and they only will medal, the big bracket instead of breaking it
Right.
down into age and skill.
Yeah. Yeah. And that seems to be the problem, is when you sign up for something in a particular age group, and then, and I get it, there's cases where there's just not enough, people to
Right.
compete, and you end up
Right.
playing, a bunch of other people who are, in most
Right.
cases, if you're a senior, younger than you. So,
Yeah. But and even if we do have to combine brackets in our tournaments, which we do, especially in the
sure.
above 70,
Yeah.
we medal, and we medal by age and skill, even if they've
Yeah.
been combined.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's great. So yeah, I've used Pickleball Brackets, and it's very user friendly.
Yeah.
And compared to some other sites that I've used that will go
Mhm.
unnamed, but yeah, it's great. You can check up, how many people have registered for this particular tournament, which players are playing,
Mhm.
what events, what they're rating. And so, and people, I guess the best way to kind of get involved in that a little more is to get a profile, both with the brackets and USSP.
Right. And in that profile, and we just sent out a newsletter today that
Yes, I got it. Yeah.
that was explaining how to put your USSP membership number in there, because that's our main problem right now, is that people don't put their number in there, and then they don't. One of our selling points is that they get a $10 discount on
Right.
every USSP tournament, but unless that number is in there, they
Right.
don't get that discount.
Yeah.
So right now I'm registering for the Oklahoma Senior Games.
Okay.
And it's a USSP tournament.
Right.
And so as people register, I have to look them up to make sure they're a member or not, which they can play in it if they're not, that's fine.
Sure.
It's just that if they are and they don't put that in there, they don't get their discount.
Right. Yeah.
So
Mine's in
I
there,
try
by
to
the way.
find them and try to explain.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain how to go back in there and put it in, though.
I get it. Yeah. You got to scroll down. There's a little bar, and you got to type
Right.
it in your digits.
Right.
But yeah. That was one of the first things I made sure I did. Yeah. So obviously we talked in the beginning of our discussion about the events that are coming up that are national level, that's regionals and nationals.
Yeah.
So what's your hope with those, as far as what you want to do that you maybe learned from in the past, and what numbers you're looking to hit?
Yeah. So our goal on most of those championship tournaments, we would love to have over 300.
Right.
And most of the time they get pretty close to that. Now our other tournaments, they can be from 80 to 300,
Yeah.
It just depends on the marketing for that tournament and where it is.
Yeah.
We tend to, I expect to have 300 at least in the Oklahoma Senior Games.
Okay. That's a good number.
But most people are used to coming to that tournament, and that helps me because they know what to expect.
Right.
And we just had the Central Indoor in the 1st of June at the same facility where we're having the Oklahoma Senior Games. And so
okay,
a lot of people are used to that facility and know how it's going to be run. Right. So with our big club here, I have lots of volunteers and lots of people that play. So it's not real hard to get that many. I hope we do. And we've had some problems in other parts of the country of some of the tournaments not making, but it's just our first year. And I think as we grow our membership, most of our members are in Texas, California, Florida.
Yeah.
And so if we don't have members out, at some of these tournaments, we've got to grow that membership so that they'll know that it's good to enter those types of tournaments.
Right. And obviously with more and more people coming into the sport, that's also some momentum that you can expect without some extra effort, although the extra effort will make you more of those numbers. Yeah. I noticed for me, I'm 55. The 50 to about 65, or really 65 to kind of 70, 75 is really the meat. And then kind of on each end, that's where it spreads out a little. I would be interested to know, is there an approach you guys are trying to take maybe to gain more of those people that are, just turning 50?
Some of those that are just turning 50 are afraid to admit they're 50.
That is true.
And they feel like they can still play with the younger ones, which is fine.
Sure.
But then we have other people that, I've got guys that have been waiting to get to be 50 so they can play in the senior games.
Yeah.
So I don't think at that level we have to worry about it, because that's where we have a lot of the people coming in.
Yeah.
It's the 70 at 3-5 and above, where we have difficulty getting the large brackets.
Okay.
So because a lot of those people saw they were being left out, so they quit going to tournaments. Right. And we just want to try to get them back and say, look, you can have fun again. Yeah. It's a round robin. It's not 2 and out. You get to play more matches.
Right.
Just come back. But, I always need men for mixed in 60 and above.
Yeah.
Because I have more females that come without a partner. So I'm always looking for men, it seems like, to make up a mixed duo for tournaments. Sure. But we just hope that 300 is kind of what we would like. Now the ones in Arizona, those can be 400 and 500.
Yeah, because that's a hub, obviously,
And that's right when the people are coming back most of the time.
Right.
And so that's what we kind of like. The ones that are in Surprise are usually really good tournaments, and we've had good turnouts.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, the one I went to was, you could tell it was very well run. It was, people were getting their awards, there were announcements, and nobody seemed to be waiting to start play. There were referees. Yeah. For my first tournament experience of just hanging out, I was like, ooh, this is much more organized than when I played sand volleyball back in the day. People would roll in a half hour late. Yeah. So
well, and with our tournaments not being sanctioned, we don't always have referees for all the matches. Right. And so what has helped is that we put the round robin matches on, and that group plays on those 3 or 4 courts, and they just play until they're finished. And if it's a pool play to where we have 8 or more in that bracket, we might put them in pools. Right. And then if we have a elimination bracket after those pools, then we might have referees for that part.
Right.
But most of the time we aren't doing referees for every matches.
Right. But what's nice is, like you mentioned earlier, is that it's either round robin or pool play, and it's not like we used to call it in volleyball was 1-2 barbecue, like you were out.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So that's nice, because these tournaments, and when I say these, I'm not talking about yours, but they're not getting cheaper. That's right. I mean, because you're not only paying for the tournament, you're paying, sometimes a referee fee or something, but they're always adding on something. Is it sanctioned? Right. Are you a USA pickleball member and so on? And then you're like $130 in, and it's 2 matches, maybe. So. And
it just costs to run the software too. That costs a lot, and the facility. And then the volunteers. So it just all adds up. We try to keep the USSP tournaments at a lower amount than some of the others. And so that's one good thing too that we're trying to do. And with a $10 discount on each one of them, if they are members, that helps also. In the US, go ahead.
Well, the memberships,
Games, we also we also have a discount for veterans. We have a $25 discount for veterans. So, you know, that makes, some people are registering for $25, you know.
Right.
That's
And
pretty good.
the membership is really affordable as well. So even if you just want to sign up for a year, you know, it's worth it if you play one tournament.
That's right. That's right.
So, right. So, I mean, obviously, you know, the explosion since you've been playing 2009, and, you know, I'd like to think somebody knows where this is going, but it seems like every week I read some article that is in the mainstream news, or it's on the Today Show, some media presence. And I'm like, where is this going to be in, you know, 3 to 5 years? Do you have any inklings?
Yeah, no, but you know, it's been interesting because, you know, when we started, and even within the last 10 years, everyone said, oh, it's just a fad, it'll go away like racquetball, or, you know, that type of thing.
Yeah.
But now that the big money is getting involved with it, and you see it more, you know, now you talk to people and they have heard of pickleball.
Right.
Before they never had. And we have a chicken and pickle here in Oklahoma City.
Oh, you do?
And
nice.
you know, I really was afraid that was really a bad competition for us, just because they would take everything away. But it's been great advertising, because they take the whole family to chicken and pickle, they play, they love it, and then they look for someplace cheaper to play.
Right.
And so then they come to our club.
Yeah.
So
it's a good feeder really program.
Good. Yeah. Yeah. But talking about the way it's changed, tournaments with the 2 pro circuits. Yeah. And all the facilities that have built big facilities and are having tournaments. It's really hard not to have 3 or 4 tournaments on a weekend. Yeah. Competing for people. Right. And so it's reduced the number of people that you have in your tournaments because of all the other tournaments that are offered at the same time. The 2 pro tournaments have really hurt other local tournaments. Yeah, just I'm sure because they've taken away some of the local people that want to go play in those tournaments. I think it'll come back. Yeah. You know, because
the price of those tournaments is ridiculous at some point. I mean, I could maybe do one a year. Right. They're not. Yeah, exactly. You're not being catered to as a senior, definitely. Yeah. Or an amateur, but even an amateur senior, you're even lower, it seems to be.
That's right. That's right. So that's been hard to find weekends where you can put a tournament that's not going to compete with something else.
Right. Right. Yeah. Well, that is the thing. We're seen to be in this, you know, explosive growth where we're just throwing everything at the board and seeing what sticks. And so that's what it's going to be fascinating to watch, is this thing sort of kind of the frenzy settles and where it is and what's left of, you know, what's out there now. Yeah. Because it seems to be
fun is going to be left.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's the whole point of it. So before we go, what I always like to know is, what paddle someone is playing with. So what paddle are you playing with? And what are you working on in your own game?
I play with Engage. I think it's a 6.0. I don't remember what the title of it is, but I played with an Engage. Okay. And you know, I play at the 4-5 level right now. Right. And that's in the seniors, and I can compete well at the 4-5 level. But I can't compete well when they're 50, 35. Right. So I hope just to stay where I am and enjoy playing. I'm to the point to where my husband isn't traveling as much. He's got some health problems. Okay. And so it may be to where I'm more local than traveling to tournaments, but I play, before COVID, I was playing in 15 to 20 tournaments a year. Wow. And last year I didn't play that many, and I probably won't this time, but I'll probably play 10 to 15 at least. Yeah, that's a plenty. And so, yeah. So I love the tournaments. I like the atmosphere and the competing. But I know that at 70 years old, which is what I am, it's going to get harder to play all the time. I don't have any health problems yet, but it's probably going to come. So I drill quite a bit during the week. Great. Yeah, we have some good people here that we drill with, and I play every morning. And
Okay.
I played this morning, and I'll play this afternoon.
Right.
So I play lots.
Yeah, yeah,
My
yeah.
husband thinks I'm never home.
Like my wife always says, back to pickleball.
Uh-huh.
Everything comes back around to pickleball in my life.
That's right. That's right.
I'm just
Yeah.
glad there's others out there.
Yeah, there is. There's a lot of pickleball players that are that way.
There are. Well, hey, thanks for taking the time to speak with us. We'll put the links to what we talked about all in the description of the video. And hey, folks, feel free to share this and check out USSP. Thanks, Vicky Noakes.
Thank you. We'll see you in El Mirage.
You will see me in El Mirage. Hope you enjoyed the interview with Vicky Noakes. If there's anybody you would like us to talk to interview, please leave it in the comments, and we would be happy to touch base with those people. All right. Till next time, let's pickle.